Bob Russell, for many years, was a minister of one of the largest Christian churches in our nation. He also was a prolific writer and had a lot of books. And what I'm doing today is taking some thoughts about the communion meditation from Bob Russell. He said, before he died on Calvary, Jesus Christ established a memorial to help us remember what happened at the cross. That memorial, the Lord's Supper, was not instituted for Jesus' benefit, but for ours. 1 Corinthians 11 says, the Lord Jesus, on the night he was betrayed, took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, this is my body, which is for you. Do this in remembrance of me. In the same way, after supper, he took the cup, saying, this cup is the new covenant in my blood. Do this whenever you drink it in remembrance of me. For whenever you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until he comes. The Lord's Supper is one of the most impressive and enduring memorials ever established. In using unleavened bread and the fruit of the vine to recall his death, we see the wisdom of Jesus and simplicity of God. The Lord's Supper is a portable memorial. In order to visit the memorial of Lincoln in Washington, D.C., you have to travel there to do that. If you want to visit Lenin's tomb, you have to go to Russia, Moscow, to see that. But the memorial Jesus established for us is not in a fixed location. It could go anywhere. Many times, communion is taken in a Bible-sized communion tray for people in the hospital, for shut-ins, and the Lord's Supper can be taken anywhere. He says it's an inexpensive memorial. Some can't afford to travel to Mount Rushmore to see the monument of our 4 great presidents, but the Lord's Supper can be taken anywhere, and you don't have to spend any money. It just consists of taking a small wafer of bread and a little cup of grape juice. The Lord's Supper is a participatory memorial. Good teachers know the common senses students are likely to be improved with when they have to use all of those. He said we don't just see the Lord's Supper, we participate in it. We touch it, smell it, taste it, and often hear the click of the cup set back into the tray. Communion is an amazing tool that touches all 5 of the senses to leave a lasting impression on the mind. He said it's a descriptive memorial. The unleavened bread reminds us that Jesus was sinless. The fact that it is broken reminds us that Christ's body was pierced and broken because of our transgressions and on our behalf. The grape juice is even the color of blood, and the fact that it is poured out is a reminder that Jesus voluntarily gave his life's blood on our behalf. Maybe best of all, it's a lasting memorial. For around 2,000 years, Christians have gathered to break bread and drink the fruit of the vine in remembrance of Jesus. Other memorials have lost their significance with the passing of time, but the Lord's Supper will continue to stir our hearts until the Lord comes again. The Lord's Supper gives evidence that the foolishness of God is wiser than man's wisdom, and the weakness of God is stronger than man's strength. 1 Corinthians 1:25. Who but God could establish a permanent memorial out of elements that quickly perish? When you take communion this week, give God thanks for providing a simple but deeply profound way to help us remember the cross and the fact that we are saved by Jesus' blood.